A dark part of Greek mythology was the normalization of rape. It was normal to the point that well-known gods like Poseidon, Hades, and Dionysus were all guilty of sexually assaulting mortal women using dubious means. But unsurprisingly, no one came close to the king of Olympus, who wanted to be at the top in this aspect too. Zeus has raped in ways so unfathomable that make people think they are made up and question the genuineness of these stories. Mother, daughter, sister, children, you name it. 'Cause Zeus left no flower unflowered. So for today's video, we have compiled the lore of the top rapes of Zeus for you. Yes, top. Because we had to filter out the best from maybe, thousands. 1. Alcmene. Hera, Zeus's wife, queen of the gods and goddess of women, marriage, and family, was envious of and enraged by her husband's many lovers and illegitimate children. But Zeus didn't care, so he continued to step out on Hera, and Hera continued to seek retribution for Zeus's conquest. Zeus's target of affection on one such occasion was a mortal woman named Alcmene. He used his power to disguise himself as Alcmene's husband, Amphitryon, which was, let's face it, next-level creepy. Alcmene, unable to detect the imposter, welcomed the king of gods into her bed. That night, she became pregnant and gave birth to a son. What followed this was ironic. Alcmene and her husband named the baby Hercules, which means glorious gift of Hera in Greek. 2. Callisto. Callisto was a virgin woman devoted to the goddess Artemis. She faithfully kept these beliefs and quickly became the favorite of the goddess of hunting. Sadly for her, while she was spending her days and nights with Artemis's other followers, she grabbed Zeus's attention. Zeus used deception to get at Callisto, despite knowing she had taken a virginity vow. He approached her, disguised as Artemis, and the young huntress lowered her guard. Zeus took advantage of the situation and raped her. Callisto got pregnant and desperately sought to hide her condition from the goddess. She had, after all, broken her pledge to the goddess, and she feared her wrath. 3. Europa. Europa was the beautiful daughter of Agenor, the king of Tyre. Zeus spotted Europa collecting flowers by the sea and fell in love with her right away. He then took the appearance of a gorgeous white bull and arrived on the beach where Europa was playing. The big bull came over to Europa and knelt down at her feet. His look and movements were so kind that Europa ventured to climb on his back and place flowers around his neck. But when she did so, the bull dashed over the water, abducting Europa, and then he disclosed his actual character and took Europa to the Greek island of Crete. There, he shed his white bull appearance and returned to his human form, making Europa his lover beneath a plain cypress tree. Through this, Europa became the first queen of Crete and had 3 sons from Zeus. Eventually, Zeus recreated the shape of the white bull, which Zeus used to lure Europa into the stars. Even now, its outline can be found in the constellation Taurus. 4. Io. Zeus had a crush on Io, so he raped her. Yes, there was no better way to present this story. Then, to keep Hera from noticing, he draped the entire globe in a thick blanket of clouds. But this backfired and raised Hera's suspicions. She descended from Mount Olympus and began to disperse the clouds. Zeus acted quickly and transformed Io's shape into a cow. As the clouds parted, Hera discovered Zeus standing next to a white cow. He then claimed that he had never seen the cow before, that it had appeared out of nowhere. Hera, seeing right through this, admired the cow and requested it as a gift. So while Zeus was playing chess, Hera was playing checkers. As refusing such a fair request would have revealed the entire plot, Zeus had to present her with his cow crush. 5. Leda. Zeus became captivated and infatuated with Leda, the beautiful human wife of King Tyndareus of Sparta. So, to deceive and rape her, Zeus changed himself into a gorgeous swan. That same night, she also slept with her husband. She eventually became pregnant with both men's offspring and gave birth to 2 eggs. 4 offspring were born from these eggs, 2 pairs of twins. 2 had Zeus's blood, while the other 2 carried the king's. Pollux was a boy who was one of Zeus's kids. His twin sister rose to prominence as Helen of Troy, whose beauty sparked the Trojan War. 6. Nemesis. Zeus fell in love with Nemesis, presented himself as his daughter, and pursued her, only for her to flee in shame. She disguised herself in several shapes to avoid Zeus, but he ultimately abducted and raped her. Zeus transformed into a swan to pursue her and raped her, creating an egg that was handed to Sparta's queen. Helen emerged from the egg and was raised by Leda. This was the second account of Helen's existence. 7. Rhea. In one Orphic myth, Zeus became attracted to his mother and pursued her, only for Rhea to reject him and transform into a snake to flee. But we know our guy Zeus. He transformed himself into a snake and raped her as well. Their daughter Persephone was born from this union, and Rhea later became Demeter. The child Persephone was born so deformed that Rhea ran away from her, frightened, and did not breastfeed her daughter. 8. Antiope. In Greek mythology, Antiope was the daughter of King Asopus of Boeotia. Fascinated by her beauty, Zeus changed himself into a satyr and raped her. Soon after, it became clear that she was carrying Zeus's kid. Fearing her father's reaction to the news, she fled to Sicyon and married the local monarch. Her uncle, however, dragged her back to Boeotia, and what followed was a tragic life. 9. Danae. Danae was the daughter of King Acrisius of Argos. Acrisius would perish at the hands of his daughter's son, according to a prophecy. Unable to accept his fate, he resolved to jail Danae and prohibited all males from approaching her. But Danae, to her dismay, aroused Zeus's heart. Even though she was imprisoned in a bronze cell with no way out, Zeus was the king of the Greek gods, and nothing could stop him. The god of thunder transformed into gold rain and invaded Danae's cell via the ceiling and raped her. Then Danae gave birth to Perseus, and Acrisius realized that he had no control over his fate. 10. Aegina. Aegina was the daughter of Asopus, the river deity, and Antiope, the nymph. Zeus kidnapped her in the form of an eagle and transported her all the way to Aenone, a nearby island. Asopus pursued them and tried to reclaim his daughter, but Zeus repelled them with thunder. Due to the obvious force of Zeus, Aegina gave birth to Aeacus in Aenone, who eventually became ruler of the island that bears Aegina's name. 11. Ganymede. Ganymede is a case of special interest. His story is indicative not only of the ancient Greek perception surrounding rape, but also pedophilia. Ganymede was born in Troy and became the target of desire for none other than Zeus while still a child. The Greek deity changed into an eagle and kidnapped Ganymede, bringing him to Olympus and bestowing immortality and endless youth on him as long as he worked as the god's cupbearer. 12. Persephone. Persephone's father, Zeus, was unable to contain his increasing love for his own daughter as he observed her when she spun on her spinning wheel. Zeus was watching her as she eventually stopped to wipe the sweat from her body in a nearby stream. He stood there watching her undress and splash around in the water and could not help himself. He went on to adopt the guise of one of the dragons. Demeter had left to protect their daughter and had his way with her after putting her to sleep. Too much erotic violence for one video, isn't it? Well, that's Zeus for you, ladies and gentlemen. Researchers claim that rape was a rather normal thing back then. And let's face it, if your king is so fond of it, why wouldn't you deem it normal? Comment your thoughts below on this idea. We'll see you next time. Until then, watch out for Zeus.